Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another wonderful episode of Let's Talk Real Life with Miss Nada Manning. Today we have a special guest again, back for more, powerhouse, none other than Mr. Ben Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. But without further delay, we're going to head on over to Ms. Nada for the station identification. And wow, do we have a show for you guys, the grand finale of men's recognition, Father's Day, the fourth installment to this survival kit, this overcomers package that we have put together. But right now, here's the host of the show, Miss Nada Manning.
Well, hello, everybody. Yes, we are back. We are glad to be with you. We are now talking on 107.5 FM WECU, 150 AM on Awesome Radio. We hope that you will enjoy this show. We look forward to hearing from you. We have, again, some more information to share. So it's my pleasure to start in this fourth segment, as Coach has just indicated. 107.5 FM WECU, 150 1570 AM. Awesome Radio on your dial. Amen. And so, moving forward, we are going to have. Let me give you the preamp of what we're going to be talking about. This fourth segment of men as we end the month of June, focusing on the men. And it is going to be helpful, I hope, very informative. And it starts with the first man, Adam, in the Bible, a powerful men of the Bible that overcame controversy. And it says how men can do the same thing today. There are men and women in the Bible who are truly heroic. Some have physical strength, others have mental strength, and still others heroes in the Bible have God-ordained wisdom. So we're going to move forward with some various topics as we go into this men thing. And hopefully you will have some comments and questions so that you can continue to make it even more interesting, because we want to hear from you. And now we are going to move forward with introducing our guest, our returning guest.
Yes.
Ben Johnson. He has enjoyed us so much last time. He said, I want to do that again. When can we? And so here we are inviting him once again, because he is such a man of wisdom. He has so much to share with us, and we just wanted to continue to have him to be a part of the show. So now we're going to say, unless our coach have something to say, sir, before Mr. Ben got started.
I'd like to say welcome back. Great introduction. I'd like to say welcome back, Mr. Ben Johnson. I'm going to throw some things at you today. We might as well just go ahead and rumble this out, because I want us men to know how God can bring us out of a situation where it seems to be hopeless. What do we do in times that we need, the most spiritual, the most physical, the most mental and emotional intelligence that we can get from God and the universe? Where does it come from? But I'm going to move out of the way and let you say a couple of words, because when I get back in, I'm going to be talking about Daniel in the lion's den and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and that, especially that Daniel's in the lion's den. I really gotta see if I can get fed even more. How are you doing, sir?
Exceptionally well, and thank you so much for the invite. I know all this thing about the Bible, but at least I'm able to answer some question, hopefully, that you asked me. But I appreciate you inviting me back again to Ms. Nada Manning and Coach Garrison. Thank you so much for the day.
Amen.
let me ask the guests to help us out as we start with men. And I know this is gonna mess the outline up. I apologize in advance, Miss Nada. But some of the failures of men, um, sir, you have a purview of several generations, if you will. If a man considers himself a failure or makes a mistake or lets his family down, what type of outside influences, you know, would he blame it on outside influences, mostly in conversation? But how do you perceive your generation dealing with adversity versus the men of today dealing with adversity?
All right, Coach Garrison, it's based on the individual and really the training and upbringing, family life, all goes back to the family. Where were the father and mother in a home? If you don't have that home training, it's not there. I'm working on something called the home, the church, and the school working together for the betterment of mankind. And if the home is not together, the home is not together now, one-sided. It can be a one-sided situation, and they're not involved except in Christ and the church involved. That's rough. So the home, the church, and the school plays a major place on the lives of an upbringing of a person and the ongoing living of a person. If they not have those three things personally in their lives, then something's wrong.
I have a comment, if I may. Can a woman speak?
Yes, indeed. We're about to get into that too, y'all. We definitely want to see where the woman's place at for a man's success.
Yeah. Mr. Ben, what you just said about the family and the home and the church, I guess I want to say that, or maybe it's a question or a statement. You're right. I agree with you 110%. It starts with the home, and it's been my experience when I was bringing up my two boys. It was, let my son tell it. It was work first. It was work first, then home, and then them. So, and church, don't forget that part. And to this day, that's what he tells me. So my question to you is, or statement is there a specific order? We know home should come first, family come first, yes. But what is your intake on the work part as far as the children go? You have the home, you have the church, and then there's work. What do you say to any parent, grandparent, whoever the mentor, whomever the lead is in the home? What do you say to that order?
Number one, their home, first thing, where there may be father and mother together in a home, which makes a complete home itself. Now, there are many means in this day and time, as we know, it's been split. Is a lot of our kids, especially in the African-American race, especially going from south to north, it was split in families. So it's hard to look at. The fact is, for a kid to be grown up without a father in the home. So you really need a mother and a father working together for upbringing of the children. I'm sure. Now, I didn't experience that situation without a home with a father and a mother. My children, 7 children, they did not experience that without a father and a mother in the home. The home is the base for all starts. And you mentioned something about workload. Then, like my son Roger, who has this business here, soon be 33 years he's had this business. First thing, as a young man, we taught about work. My wife taught about work in the home, cleaning up their rooms, making their beds.
Right.
And when they was old enough, started washing their clothes.
Right.
I not only taught them, they talked about those jobs they had, but then at Roger, when he was like about 10, 11 years old, I bought him a wagon. We lived not too far from the Safeway. So he, about 10, 11 years, between 10 and 11 years old, 12 maybe, he had a wagon that he would go and haul groceries from the store to people's home.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, he had a paper route. So
Right.
he had the understanding that fact of it is you need to have a work habit.
Yes.
If you're brought up without a work habit, it's hard to go in life as an adult.
Right.
Many children nowadays have nothing to do at home. Their parents do everything for them.
Right.
They fix their food, set it on the table in front of them. Nobody sit together and talk, and half the time you got to beg the kids that finding out they have to beg the kids to get up to even come to eat.
Right.
Half of them don't eat at the same time at the table together. That's not really a regular standard home.
Right.
Standard home when we all, father and mother, sit at the table and eat together. There were times that I was not home.
Right.
There were times that I was away in the military. There was time I had to go to work early in the morning time. So what happened is then my wife had to take that in, then I called back to make sure everything is moving along all right.
Mm-hmm.
But we always knew that the kids were being taken care of, that they were doing the things they should be doing. And then when I'm back home with them, I spend some quality time.
Yeah.
Quality time with your children. If you don't spend some quality time and they don't get to know that you're the daddy or mama, then that's a reckless home. And
Yeah.
it's hard for them to survive without quality time in the home with a father and mother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
They're home.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what Mr. Johnson was just talking about when it comes to the connection between your son, your daughter, or you, or achieving and coming out against a extreme circumstance in your life, he basically talked about the foundation, a godly foundation of a family. And I kept hearing, train up a child in the way they should go. I kept hearing that. And I've been on that. Those who have watched the show the last couple of months, you've heard me say it a few times. Train up a child that is not allowing that child to choose some type of pathway and they can run off in life picking flowers anywhere they want. This is a data entry. This is using your software to set your child up for success using God's plan. And he talked about as a man leading his family spiritually, which is one of the top things that a woman needs, if you will, guys. If you're listening, is first on a list that I was going to reference here. But a woman needs a spiritual leader. A woman wants a spiritual leader. And the way he mentioned that, those things are not, absolutely not optional. I believe he was a drill sergeant and he's just a humble fellow now at his age. He's just as young and, probably soft and gentle as a giant. But the things he's talking about, ladies and gentlemen, are not optional. We must, and this is coming from Coach here, in order to win this game, we must have an institution that starts with an institution, and that's the family institution, and then create other institutions to set ourselves up for success. And if God is going to pull us out of anything, men, the message I got this week is when we're facing abominable challenges, In a moment, I want to go ahead and jump right into what does a woman have to do with our success. But in order for us to be comers and climb these huge mountains, go around and go through these depths of oceans that we have to climb, we must have some preparation. And in that preparation, we will get attributes that God has given us, that if He's equipped us with talents, skills, abilities, spiritual knowledge and awareness and mindfulness, whatever you have, once you discover a couple of things about you, God can use that, or He may even use a miracle to deliver you. But you must first step forward with what you have. And now we're talking about the impartation of those things that your children need. Even if, if you didn't get that, Mr. Johnson, as a child, how is a man going to deliver that to his children? This structure of family that you just talked about, this spending quality time, he never had time. I never had a discussion more than 15 minutes long with my dad. Never. And I even had to think twice about that.
Well, you need that. I mean, it's needed to happen, because if a child grows up without a complete family, I call it complete family, her father and mother in the home. Now, in this day and time, it don't always happen. Some years ago, I would say in the latter 40s and 50, a major transition from the South to the North. Husband and wives went to the North to live because of sharecropping and jobs. They didn't make that much money. So they moved to the cities, major cities, to get jobs. Now, most of the time, like in those many years ago, there were only schools, and especially like EPS. There was not a CMFs for my parents. So they only had a grade school that took them from kindergarten to the 7th grade. And that one was done here by Charles Montgomery Epps. He did it. He was able to go around and raise funds to get it put together to start a school that would take it to the 11th grade. So at least you had that type of training as far as for school-wise. But you got to have that basic training coming from home. Mama and daddy, they got to bring that special training to get you set up to go into further lifespan. Now, you can't even really, if you haven't had the training from home, it's hard to go work a job because you have no discipline. See, you got to realize that you got to come and be on, number one, to go get the job. First thing, you got to go to the job dressed the way that they want you to be dressed. Secondly, you have to be on time. Thirdly, you must do the job based on what the type of work is, being able to do that if you want to survive on that job. And that's training from home. Learning how, the fact is, your mother teaching you how to make a bed. Your dad teaching you that you need to work not only maybe scrub floors, maybe learn how to wash dishes, maybe know how to cut the grass, all those type of things. But those are things that need to be taught at home to get you grounded in life to go to a job and to grow up as an individual, as far as I can understand.
Okay, but what he was saying, Mr. Ben, I think is what does a child do, or an adult male do, or female, but men, what do you do when you did not have that at home? You didn't have the man, the husband or the father or the uncle or whomever in your life to show you these things, that these traits that you just described. What do you do?
Lot of young people that grew up that don't have the father at home.
Right.
There are some mothers gifted and given by God to help direct their sons and daughters in the right direction. it always it always worked to some degree. But it's not an easy for a person to grow up and then move into life not having a full family home. Now,
Right.
some people have been, have done extremely well, but that's only by the grace of God
Right.
that's with a mother that's able to teach her children in that direction. And she don't have to be a man. She don't have to be the father. She just be the mother, giving the child the right direction to go in. And that's the main thing. Main thing, all the basic information, all the basic training need to come from the home, not at the school,
Yes.
not the school.
Right.
School teaches you academics,
Right.
not at the school. Home is where you start life is. Now, some mothers been able to really do that. And I've known a lot of mothers raise their sons and daughters by themselves, a lot of them. And a lot of them grew up to be great persons, great workers, great job. But it takes a strong woman to be able to handle that side. And there had to be a woman that acknowledged the fact she's not the father, she's the mother, but she's able to train a person to go in the way they should go.
Right.
That's where they should go,
Amen.
And that's what the Bible says. Train up a child in the way they should go. When they're old, will not depart from that training.
Speaking of the family unit, the familia, the nucleus family, how much does the woman play in a man's ability to overcome? I asked God that question, and I'm not saying God didn't give me an answer that I was satisfied with, but I asked God that question, and consciously, I believe I heard, well, I made her for you. As you can see in the word, I created her from the rib of mankind that was created in my image. And so when I got there, I started juggling that. And I thought about the message that I wanted to come through today. And I thought about Samson getting his hair cut by the lady. And I thought that this woman that God gave us, she can be our success, but she can be our downfall, which is a whole lot of power. So, Ms. Nada, from a woman's standpoint, how do you feel with that type of power in your hands? And how do you feel about the Samson and the hair cutting scenario? Maybe you, I wasn't privileged to have a lot of notes in front of me today, even though I wrote some. But tell us a little bit about what happened between Samson and the lady that cut his hair.
And I'm not trying to get away from you asking me, but
yeah, you already.
No, Mr. Ben was laughing, so I don't want. It sounded like he wanted to have something to say as well.
It's coming to him. It's coming.
That's a rough one. Because Samson, first thing is, Samson decided to be, he was not raised by his parents that way. He accepted sin on his own.
Yeah.
He went to a different nationality of a person. He got involved with a person that was, in those days, was against the rules and regulations of that time when you moved from your nationality of people. And he moved over to one of the types of people that were not his and got involved. Sin brought him to the way. Lust brought him there. And see, God gave him, and his mother bore him to be that way and give him back to the Lord. That's what you're born for, give him back to the Lord. And that's the reason why he wasn't supposed to cut his hair. He wasn't supposed to take any strong drinks and none of those things. But he decided to go to another area to get involved, that type of person. Lust, sin, you see. And that's why I made some notes by the fact, my thing is that we're back to that same thing now, because nearing the time where we're in now, we need a revival of the mind, heart, and soul.
Mm-hmm.
And because if a mother is raising a child by herself, if she's a person that's a Christian, believing what the Lord says, the Lord will guide her to raise her male son, daughter, whatever it is. That's what it is. And she will remain a mother. See, don't try to be the father and the mother. You can only be what you are. Don't try to act like you go out and do this thing, that thing, and wrestle with them and all that stuff. Do what you're supposed to do as a mother. Don't try to be the father. Be the mother. And they will respect you. A child will respect that person. And I've seen a lot of kids grow up without a father in home. Lots of them. And all of them didn't do bad. None of them did great. Some of them went to do greater things than the average person could do. But the fact of it is, the Lord is good. And if the mother works and prays, and the Lord gives her direction, and she follows the direction of what the Bible says, not hearsay, but what the Bible says. If you be guided by the Bible, then you can get all things to work well.
Okay. Amen.
Okay. So he just summarized. He failed to lust. He failed to sin. And that's what y'all do to us. That's what y'all do to us. It don't have to be related to procreation or having children. Sin of lust is going to be right there, whether those are intentions are good or not. And look at what happens to us when we lose our faculties to manage that lust. How do you feel about having such power over a man?
Well, I have to.
Oh, you
I have to
asked
say.
Yeah, I was talking to Ms. Native. I'm sorry.
Right, okay.
I'm sorry.
I think as a woman, I can speak for me, and I think I can speak for a lot of other women as well. There are some of us who don't realize how much power we have. Or should I say, we don't count it in such a manner. We just want to remain humble about it, because
Say what?
Huh?
You said you just want to remain humble about it. You saying all women that realize this want to be?
I'm saying I can speak for me and several other women.
Well, okay, I'm sorry.
There are some of us who really want to remain humble and not use that power, if you want to call it power, to take control. And there are some women who do just the opposite. Now, you asked me how I felt. I am a person that like to remain humble. I don't exercise all this power that you're putting emphasis on to control men or a man, whether it be my brother, my husband, or my uncle, whoever the men are in my life, co-workers. I try to keep it in perspective, because I am trying to do what thus saith the Lord and try really, really hard to stay in my place. As a woman, we all have our place in this world. And the Lord wants us to honor him by whatever we say and do, how we treat others. The power, I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on. I'm only speaking for me. I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on having power to control anyone. What I do is, and I encourage all of you listeners out there to do the same, men and women, is to stand your ground respectfully. There's a difference. You can stand your ground and be abrupt and abusive and nasty and ugly, and you can stand your ground and remain humble and respectful. Standing your ground, you have a choice. So I would say, in that sense of having power, We all have power to control ourselves if we choose to do that. I choose to remain humble. I choose not to have a whole lot of havoc going on because that does not please the Lord. He's not about a whole lot of drama.
Mm-mm.
Right, Ben?
That's exactly right. Now, let me say something about Ephesians, the 6th chapter, or the 5th chapter of Ephesians. And I guess so somewhere it says on the 32nd verse, it says, this is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband.
Right. Reverence is respect.
Respect, that's all it is. Respect.
Right.
It's respect. Reverence them.
Mm-hmm.
And if a child see their daddy and mama working together, you're not going to have any problem with them.
Right.
And I'm grateful to God that I had 7 children, and I'm grateful that Lord blessed us with the 7, because we lost a son when he was about 3 months old. But the children still feel great that they had one brother that's still alive, Roger. And they look upon them, that my daughters have 5 daughters, and there's not a day passed. Some of them daughters call here and there. Some even out in California, not California, but Seattle, Washington, calls. Some of them they make a note to make sure somebody talks to their mother during the day, every day, to keep her. They reference her as a wife reverence her husband. And if your child, and if you show respectful to your child, boy or girl, then they will show that type of respect to you. And that's what the Bible says. Honor your mom and daddy, that your life may be long and this earth. And the fact that we got so many in this day and time that grow up without a father in the home, a lot of them, but they still, many of them turned out to be great people. A lot of people hear about the fact that they go on to be ministers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, and what have you. But because they had that training from that mother at home, she didn't try to act like the father. She was a mother.
Right. And I have to give honor to God, and I think of many mothers out there that's listening to us can say the same thing, and dads, that we have to give honor to God for those single parent homes, and those children turning out as well as they have. And so, Mr. Byrne, next.
There is a man that's watching this show that's being persecuted, that is facing a wall that he's never seen and could not have imagined that he would find himself before this circumstances that he is under. Perhaps it's like Daniel that was tossed in the lion's den by a king, and the king looks at him and says, "Let your God that you've been serving every day save you." Just going to that point, there are some lions that surrounding people right now. Drugs, substance abuse, people who have visions that they were following to a T, people who are submitted to God in every aspect of their lives. And so they are being persecuted, and they don't see a way out.
Yeah.
But if anybody knows anything about Daniel and his faith in God, brother, it looks like Mr. Ben want to jump in on Daniel and the guys that are being persecuted.
My understanding, Daniel was a chosen person for God.
Yeah.
He was not born in the area that he was raised in, that he was brought to. Not only him, he was brought there, but 3 other Jewish people, Israelites. But what happened is Daniel paid homage to God at least 3 times a day. He would go pray. And they try to come up with something against him. The fact is, he's not certain. So they tried a lot of things that go against him. But the Lord was with him, and he didn't give up. He had faith. See,
there you go.
The fact of it is, he said, "I'm gonna be with God. I'm gonna stand my ground." And when you stand your ground on the right spot with God's side, then everything's gonna work out well for you. If you work with God and you believe what God said. That's what I said. Now we come to a point in life, we need more people. We need more fathers and no more mothers working together. And that's my thing is, we need a revival of the heart, soul, and mind to make a change. We need a revival. And that would help us all. And that would, and we hear all over this country, not just this country, all over the world, there's going on fighting and killing. There's a revolt against everything that was created from the beginning. Wars and rumors of wars are happening because we're not following the instructions that God has set up and sent his son to teach 33 years. And that's the problem we have right now. Train up a child in the way he should go. And when he's old, he will not depart.
And when he does depart, he don't go, but he won't be gone long. No.
It won't be gone long if you train him right. Maybe a little while getting back there, but he will not depart from that. That training gonna be in him, whether it's just his mother or what. But the training is there, and it talks about the fact that, and I'm looking at some Ephesians, in Ephesians, the 6th chapter. The fact is that you don't nag your children. And every time they see you, they hate you come around because you nagging, do this, go do that. You bring them up, and it's your thing that they should go in, and as a human being, and they will respect you as your father and a mother. But if you nagging and they never can do anything right, then what do you expect of a child? I don't ever do nothing right. My daddy don't say I ain't done this right. My mom said this was bad about me. If you calling your own names, them names that they use on them side streets of people, And I mean, I've heard parents. I have a fellow right here one day. He had 2 little kids in the car with him, must be 10, 12 years old, using all kinds of profanity and curse words. And I said, so, and he's telling me, don't bother me. I didn't know about what I'm talking about. How do you think them 2 little girls are going to be in years to come when they listen to their father using profanity to open line before them in front of somebody else?
Right. Well, Father, we want to thank you. We are in we still have some time left, but I just want to interact and just say that we are talking some real stuff here on Let's Talk Real Life show. We have our guest, Mr. Ben Johnson, co-host Vernon Garrison, and myself as the host, Nada Manning. We are getting into some more serious stuff these next 20 minutes. We hopefully will be able to, 15 minutes, be able to share some more information to you. So yes, we are Let's Talk Real Life show with your Ben Johnson as our guest today. So Mr. Garrison.
Let's go to another phase, gentlemen. Thank you for watching the show. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment, if you will. Awesome Radio Facebook and Awesome Radio YouTube, GPAT 23, local access, Facebook and YouTube. I asked God, before the show, Ms. Nada asked, how did I apply this show to my life? And I guess I can summarize what I said again is I just asked God, look, what are you doing with me? How are you working with me on this a phase of life that I'm in? And I got a few things that came to my conscience, and that was God is using what He's found faithful in me to bless others, even in times when I'm going through changes, even in times when I haven't got a true manifestation of the Christmas gifts that I've asked God for. Notice I said Christmas gifts, because a lot of those that we're asking for are just that, probably things that are not necessary in life, and you can find them at the dollar store every day. So asking God for Christmas gifts is, to me, different than asking God to put you in the place with the resources and the time and the heart to do what you are gifted or called to do. So I ask God for this show for the men that can't see. I'll just summarize it this way. They can't see they don't know what play to run. They don't know how to manage the time that they feel that's on the clock. They're late in their years in life. I'm 50, whatever I am. I think I'm 56, okay? Because I'm getting close to a birthday. I feel it. But the time, some think they're too young. Some people think they are being told, you're too young to figure this out. You need more wisdom. I remember going to the elders for that, So I asked God, what's happening? I'm not supposed to see the playbook. That's called walking by faith and not by sight. I'm not supposed to know the end of the game, but I do know the game will end. And I do know that it's going to end with God's way. It's going to end with my best interest in mind, at heart, if you will. So I got that message. It was almost like, it was kind of like when your mom fixed food for you back in the day. We didn't have choices. She didn't ask us my mom didn't ask us what we wanted for dinner. You just sat down to the table and you said whatever you said. You might hear, shut up and eat. I mean, either you're going to eat it or you're not. It's not going to be this, well, I'm vegetarian. I don't eat this, and I'm allergic to that. And I'm not saying those things weren't relevant. A lot of children probably were allergic, but they ate it anyway. So God took me in that area to where I believe in Daniel, when he was in the lion's den, I believe God sent an angel to rescue him in a way. And I think God has the right to surprise us and do what he does in order for us to increase our faith. So not every bad thing that comes in our life is set up to kill us, even though we feel like we're going to downright out die. We can't make it one more day with this woman in this house. If this boy come home with a car, if I get an email, I was about to say bring a report card home, but if I get an email saying my son is retained in this grade again, I'm gonna send him off. Whatever you are facing right now, men, and I'm gonna let Brother Johnson, I'm gonna be quiet and let them jump on in. How God delivers you. Miss Manning's got a list on my behalf, but maybe when it gets back around to her, she can read that first one about being how God softens your heart, because you gotten so hard, you're so stressed out, you're so rigid. You're gonna fight the world because you've been so disadvantaged in your life. You're locked up in jail, and your dad is in jail. You don't have a reason to feel good. So, Mr. Ben, if you could share a bit about how you feel about if there was a time in your life where you didn't have hope, and I know in the other show you talked about your dad was your super dad. Your dad was your superhero. Right. And that gave you a good start in life. But was there a time, sir,
there could have been times in my life that I didn't always feel direction that I was headed in, or things that was happening to me at that time, because I'm human. And there are times that you feel disappointed in life about certain things. But then, based on your feeling, especially if you have accepted Christ in your life, then you know there are going to be some situations. Same as the people asked the mom and daddy one time when the son, when the boy was blind, and Jesus put some dirt clay together and healed his eyes. And the people want to know, was this something about what happened with this? Was this the cause of the father and the mother did it? And the mother said, that was so great by the mother answer that time. She said, the mother said, he's of age, ask him.
Yeah.
And the fact of it is, Jesus answered the question. There's situations in our lives that he used that we can proclaim, that he can see that you come through it because of him, not because of your ability, but he brings you through in spite of you. A lot of things I've been through that I didn't know if I could make it or not. But as I talked with the Lord about it, he brought me through. Surprisingly, a lot of times you could be surprised. You think something really going to happen bad. You know, I've seen one time on the train track and the car cut off on me. And I mean, why am I getting this car? This train going to run into this car. What my daddy going to say this train run into this car? Soon, the car started and the train hadn't gotten there. So a lot of times, God allows things to happen.
Sure.
To see where you're coming from.
Yep.
He allowed the fact Daniel got in the den. He allowed the 3 Hebrew boys to go in the fire furnace. And but what did they say? Hey, look, King, you live on. The God that we serve is able to deliver us. But if he don't, we know he's able. So we don't bow. So there comes a time when you just don't bow. Even though things are rough in your life, even though you know you can go sell some crack, and I've seen that happen with a lot of people on the block in D.C. and places, they sell drugs. I can make more money standing on the corner selling drugs than I can make a whole 6 weeks, a year or something, you know. But look, is that the way you want to go in life? Are you going to take a chance of go to jail? Do you want to get a chance to get killed? They have a thing going on in D.C. People killing each other because you're selling drugs in my territory. You don't own no territory. You don't own streets in D.C. And there was a lot of people got killed that way because they took a chance on selling drugs instead of going working the job or doing something. Because they were not prepared. Because they didn't follow the instructions of God. They didn't follow the instructions sometimes of their parents.
And it's called disobedience. They were just being disobedient.
Disobedient. Now, a mother, and from what I can understand from my wife, they know a lot of things about our children, reaction than we do as fathers. And there again, let me add another thing I can say. Whatever you see, you've been a coach, you know what it is. And what do the boys say when they win? Hello, Mom. Why did they say that? Because the mama has carried them 9 months, feeding them and getting rid of their waste. We didn't do that. The father don't do that. So there's a closer connection between a child with a mother than there is with a father. The first thing they said, mama. You don't always say dad, they said mama. Even though they're close. But the fact of it is, now the first thing a lot of the children wouldn't know how to, like my children, all them children, they're gonna talk to mama first, and then they tell her, how daddy doing? Now they don't respect me, but my wife carried them 9 months, feeding them and getting rid of their waste, and borne the pain for 9 months and the birth. That's a lot of difference.
But now that don't take away the love. Now we want to stay focused on the dads. We don't want to take away from how important the dads are.
With,
Uh,
we're really important. We're really important.
yes,
That has not
yes,
taken away from it, but the fact is where children come through the thing is,
right.
and we have to look at the fact of that as a dad, we play a major portion in our children's lives. But there again, the mother carried them 9 months, fed them, and got rid of their waste.
Yeah.
We make preparations as a man, and we do well. I've seen men raising their children, and mothers don't. I've seen some do that.
Yeah.
But most of the time, the greatest percentage of children are being raised by the mother. But there's a father that's there to help out. And we this month we celebrate my men. And I hope that I've proven to my children, I know over the years, because all of them grown, the youngest one is 54. So they know that I've done everything I could do to help them and keep them going. School, whatever necessary. But then the mother is there. But you do what you can do for your children. But the failure has come because some realize they don't have a home like they want to have it. But they think they should do. And sometimes children think they know more than their mother and father know. If the mother and father don't know certain things, well, you don't know. I know more than you know already. I'm only in the 5th grade.
Right.
But I can use a computer. I know how to use a phone. You don't know how to use it. You know,
right.
that comes to it. But there again, if you train up a child in the proper way, they're going to show respect for the daddy and the mama.
Amen.
Awesome.
Well, Coach, you have a couple more things. We are running out of time. I don't know if you wanted to make some more valid points or not.
The last valid point I want to make is when you're in war, men, you're in war, you don't know who your enemies are. And in fact, you don't know where your general is. Your greatest asset would be God, but you can't hear him. And your men are doubting you. Your family is doubting you, or you've already been considered a failure. Though you've been a success before, that seems to have not given you any consolation for having done it 3 times over. But right now it's bad. Or right now is so good that you're isolated and you're not home. You've been on the road for months and nobody really has a connection with you. You have chased success down and you have found it in terms of dollars, but you have lost it in terms of cents. So there are people hurting that really need quality time from you, your children, your mother, people you just call or you haven't called or you haven't visited. You found yourself morally poor. You found yourself unethically in a bad place in life. So those 2 extremes, ladies and gentlemen, are where men are in between. Some have the woman of their life, of their dreams, and she ain't acting right. She coming home later and later at night. Some men have a big S on their chest, and still their son is defiant. He's feeling himself. He's expressing himself. And the dad can't get through those hormones of his son. I just want to say, I want to encourage every man that listens to this broadcast. There are those who have done it and gone before you, who can give you advice and support. And the greatest thing I can say to you is humble yourself, go in prayer, go in that room and close the door and listen. Shut yourself down so you can find yourself. You have Mr. Ben, who has worked with us this month. We have Miss Nada Manning, who is always here. We try to do the best that we could to give you direction. And as a coach, I've tried to share my life with you throughout this month. And I just want to say I love you guys. God is there. He's right there. Reach out for him. Reach out for him. Close your eyes, close your mouth, and open your spirit so you can hear what's going on.
Amen. And we have run out of time. Thank you, Mr. Ben Johnson, for being with us again. God bless you. We enjoyed you. We enjoyed you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Garrison, for being who you are on the show and leading and directing and all of that wonderful stuff. Thank God that we are able to do the show. We give him praise and honor. Thank you, Lord, for being who you are. Please be with us as we continue on with this show week after week to uplift your name, your grace and mercy through these challenges, men and women, families, period.